Every good thing comes in phases, and phase 2 is about to start with your veterans in Kansas City. We're going to cover that today here on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome in, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us here on Locked On Chiefs. We're doing a live show tonight. We appreciate you guys being in and throw your comments here in the live chat or down on the comments here on YouTube. We appreciate you making this your first listen. Check out another Locked On show for your next listen because we're everywhere all the time for free on every platform you can think of, and we appreciate that. We do it for you locos, and we very much appreciate you guys being here every day. Our everydayers are the reason we do this show. You can get that much more if you are one of the everydayers on where they hang out and where they get their information at 816-357-8781. I'm Tracy, the founder of Rogue Analytics and Performance Consulting. I hope that you enjoyed the draft guide. I got a lot of positive feedback about it this year. If you haven't given any feedback yet, put that in the comments as well. You can also find me at NFL33.com, where me and my staff take a look at the league and how things work. There is a piece on the Chiefs up there right now. You can also find me over at RGR Football, where we break it down from a whole other angle. A lot going on here. Chris does all of his work at KC Chiefs Corner. You can go subscribe to him on that outlet right now so you can get what he's looking at all the time as we get ready for what is the turning of the season. It is now post-draft on to the OTAs. Who looks like they can actually perform the game and the maneuvers that they have to? I'm really excited about that. We're going to talk about some of the initial transactions that are happening, what may happen here coming up in a little bit. Before that, we will get into the defenses impact rookies. We talked about the offense yesterday. If you missed that show, go back and check it out. And we're going to start about what this change is coming because the vets are on the way. As we record this, they are starting to get into town. You're going to see the vets here soon as phase 2 of this OTA season lets them get on the field. Who will we see in terms of full rehab? Who will we get maybe doing something a little bit different? I'm personally really interested to see how Kingsley Suamataia moves at left guard now that we've talked about it since the Super Bowl. But the vets coming back, I think, gives another dose of reality to the rookies and helps you start getting a formulation of what this 53's team's chemistry is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see how it turns out. And when we start seeing the vets come in, how they adjust to having the rookies there, where the rookies slot in when they start running with the different teams and how all that's going to work in. So really excited to see how all of that plays out and who is lined up where. That's coming in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So of all the vets, anybody in particular you're looking to see right off the bat?
Well, I do think that you look at the guys that were injured late last season. What is a guy like Rashee Rice doing? I understand that we still don't know anything about his time frame if he's going to have a cord issue where he might not be able to play early in the season. But where is he rehab wise? There's been video of him on Instagram showing that he has the ability to move. He has the ability to do a lot of different drills. So we'll see whether or not that actually means that he's going to be actually involved in any of the team activities, or he's still just doing like the individual stuff like Josh Simmons was.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty telltale sign right there. I'm interested to see Pops, to tell you the truth, because there's been a lot of talk about his position group, the group that he is the leader of this offseason. How does he respond? Does he come in a little bit lighter? Does he come in a little bit more intensity? What's he been working on? Like, I want to see some of that. I'm looking for more decisive cuts. I'm looking for a little bit more explosiveness through the hole. Like, what can he do, knowing that there's a rookie at his position now that a lot of people have, like, on the up and up? Kareem's back. Like, I won't call it a logjam, but it's thicker than we've seen it a running back in a number of years, right?
Well, it's definitely it's a pretty deep group. I mean, you have Kareem Hunt, you have Isiah Pacheco, you have Elijah Mitchell. I mean, you have Smith, who they just drafted. You have Carson Steele from last year, and I know he technically plays fullback or whatever they want to call it, but all those guys. I mean, you're going to be in a situation where they're probably going to keep 4, and you probably know who those 4 are going to be. But is Pop going to be the guy that's going to be starting, or is it going to be Kareem Hunt coming out of the gate? I mean, there's lots of different questions about how that's going to play out. Another one that's going to be interesting is what does Jaylen Watson look like? And I say that because he's going to be under fire. Not only did they bring in a free agent corner, they went and drafted a guy. So he's going to be fighting for a position at this point. And obviously Najee Johnson, who is another player that I don't think the Chiefs really think can start at this point, is also going to be in that room. And Josh Williams, I mean, corner is another packed position group.
Yeah. For those last two guys in particular, it's going to be about where are they mentally? Are they sharper? Are they more intense? Are they giving up less plays? Like, do they realize? Are they acting like, hey, this is it. My job's on the line. I got to go fight there every single day, every single snap. That's what I want to see out of those two.
Yeah. Well, and they're going to have to. I mean, they've been fighting each other for the better part of 4 years now. And so now they get to fight a couple of new guys and a couple of younger guys that are really going to be hungry for their job. Well, one younger guy and a veteran. So we'll see what they are. I mean, you start looking at this roster and, you have questions. Wide receiver is pretty set, but you bring in a guy in the wide receiver room and you sign a guy in Holiday. That was unexpected. You already have a deep room where you think you probably have your 6 or 7 that you're probably going to be working with, and you bring in a guy that wasn't even considered to be strong enough to be an undrafted free agent that you sign right after the draft.
Yeah, that room in particular, I think everyone is up in arms about one particular smaller stature receiver that maybe hasn't worked out since his second round selection. I still have trouble seeing them part ways with him because they just don't generally do that. Maybe it finally is time because it does seem like there's a lot of talent stacked here. I'm really interested to see one of the returners on the offensive side that I want to see, like, show me something, because I do think there's upside there in Tyquan Thornton, who might put himself into the mix as well, because who knows after a bit in the system what he could do.
Well, that's another name that I wasn't even considering when I was thinking about the top 5 or 6 that they have. I mean, I wasn't thinking about Sky Moore. I was thinking about the ones that you know are going to be there: Hollywood Brown and Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy, and now you have a draft pick in Royals, and you have Juju Smith-Schuster. I mean, you're going to have all of those guys there. I don't think that there's any way that those 5 aren't on the roster. So at that point, you're fighting for, at best, I would think, one position. I can't imagine they're going to have 7 wide receivers.
Nope. Those days are over.
And that doesn't even take into account guys that have been on this roster for a long time on the practice squad, like a Justin Ross. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have all those different guys that are going to be going in there trying to do anything to be on the roster, and good luck, because it's a tight position.
Yeah, it's a tall order, but somebody's going to have to fight their way through. Guys that have the best chance of making an impact. There's a bunch on defense as well. We're going to get to the rookies that could be making that impression right after this.
March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories, and even who's cutting down the nets, and much, much more on FanDuel. I've got my eye on a few underdogs this year, and FanDuel makes it easy to back them with the spreads, totals, and game props you want to know. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. The FanDuel app is simple to use, and when I win, I get paid instantly. There is no waiting around. I can use that money for whatever I want immediately. It is fantastic. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long.
Defense. It wins championships. You can hear more about that over at KC Chiefs Corner, or maybe not. You'll have to hear that at RGR Football. We'll see. I'll focus on the defense here for a while. But you got to have impact players at all 3 levels, right? The Chiefs did what they do, and they kind of spread it around. They have 4 rookies that I think are ready to make an impact on that side of the ball. Everybody got their feet wet here. Everybody had a little bit of nerves, but I in particular feel very good about Ashton Gillotte coming into this particular defense with his energy, his ability to be multiple in the way that he attacks. Initial reviews are that he is looking good, looking like he should be there. You can qualm with where the draft pick was. He was actually taken higher than even I had him. But I think one thing is for certain, he's going to have a friend in George Karlaftis that can help him make the transition. And I expect that he's going to be in a position to make some plays and make some impact.
Yeah, and they absolutely need it. I mean, you need pass rush at every single position, is every single level. You need some kind of pass rush, whether it's the defensive line or linebackers, and even the back end. So I do think that that's something that you look at what Gillotte is going to bring. I think that they need to continue to add more pass rush, and that's going to be a pick that he may not get a ton of time, especially early on in the season. But I do think that he's going to be a guy that is going to start rounding into it and become somebody that's going to get more playing time towards the playoffs. And it's going to be important regardless, because you need more players that can take more snaps and keep some of your guys that are some of your veterans, take a little bit of the snaps off them so they can stay fresher for the playoffs.
Yeah. It's about building all the way down through the depth. The other guy that I'm really interested to see when we get a chance here is Noah Williams might have the cleanest path to playing time. The guy who has maybe the least path to playing time, at least on defense, is the guy that I'm hearing great things about already because of what he's able to walk in and do. And that is understand the defense from the middle linebacker spot, be able to call it if he had to, but be able to play will, be able to play coverage. Jeffrey Boss is a guy that was well-traveled around the pre-draft process, but maybe a guy that, whether it's special teams initially or whenever somebody has to miss some snaps, he may be a rookie that has more of an impact than we would normally say for a guy drafted to be third on the depth chart than most years anyway.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he's able to do and what he's able to bring to this team. Obviously, you have your starter, Nick Bolton. That's not going to be changing anytime soon. But Bossa has a role in this team. They drafted him for a reason. They drafted him. He's going to come in. He's going to play core special teams. Is he going to force himself on the defensive side of the ball to come on for certain situations? Maybe. We'll see. What can he grow into? What can he become? I don't expect a ton as a rookie, but being there and being a core special teams guy is very important for this roster. They have to be good on that side. They have to be good at that phase of the game. And it only takes a couple of misses to completely implode a season if you lose on special teams plays at the end of games. That's the unfortunate part of things.
Yeah. And the great thing about Boss is he's got 3 position versatility.
Yep.
I think he probably will start it out as Will. That's fine. I think he's physically strong enough to play that overhang position. He's about the same size as Willie. He's not as fast as Willie Gay was in this defense, but physicality-wise, I think he can take it. He is more of a coverage linebacker. That is true. But when you're talking about an overhang position where you don't have an offensive lineman in front of you, I think there's some things that can be done there. And the truth is, he's got to compete against Cam Jones, who I still like, and I love his athleticism, but they're the same type of player, a pass-first linebacker. And Cam had a chance and didn't step up as much as I wanted him to last year. So he's got to compete there. He's got to compete against Jack Cochran and Cole Christensen. That's it. And there's a path to actual playing time for him that maybe a couple of weeks ago I didn't think was worth the investment in a linebacker at that level.
Well, and I will say the path to playing time is you hope he doesn't play, because I would say that you have to feel like you have your linebacker room set with the 3 guys that are there. But the reality is that injuries happen, and you're going to need to have guys that can rotate in. And having 3 position versatility gives them the ability to not have to move people around trying to fill if Nick Bolton goes down again or if Drew Tranquil goes down. You have a guy that can actually step in and say, okay, this guy went down, he can step in and play that position. This guy went down, he can step in and play that position. That's extremely important, and the Chiefs are always about versatility, so this makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Now, Noah Williams, I think, has an opportunity there. I think the team is probably thinking that they're going to put Trent McDuffie inside. I don't think the Chamari Connor nickel experiment worked out terribly well. I don't think they're going to go back there. So you have Christian, you have Jaylen Watson on the outside. Noah Williams could compete with Jaylen Watson right now. The ball skills are there. And if for that alone, if he can make the transition to the league, he could be competing with Jaylen Watson right now. And unfortunately, Joshua Williams, Najee Johnson are not, I think, up to that competition currently. But if they're trying to leave Trent outside, then you have Fulton, Watson, and Williams competing for really what is just the playing time opposite of Trent. And then what would the nickel look like? Well, for me, the guy that I want to see the most is one of the vets in Chris Roland Wallace, because I thought he put in some good snaps. He had some problems, but he's best, I think, suited for the nickel in the league. He could play outside. I think he has it in him. But we should see rather quickly, based on who the nickel cornerback is, what they're thinking they're going to try to do.
I would imagine that this is a move trying to put Trent McDuffie inside, because I don't think that the reality is yeah, you can go and play Christian Roland Wallace inside if you want to. You can try again to go back to Chamari Connor and play him inside, even though I don't think that's a good idea. And I will say this about Williams and Johnson. Obviously, I agree based on what we've seen so far, they don't have the ability to compete in those. But an offseason can change a lot. I mean, it really depends. We'll see how that changes. I'm not saying that I expect either of those guys to take a huge step forward and take a stranglehold on one of those jobs, but we'll see. Development is something that happens in the offseason, and these guys, if they want to have a good chance at a good contract, they need to develop and they need to get better and they need to challenge to be able to get on the playing field, or they won't be getting a good contract like they want. So when I look at this, it's a question of, to me, I would imagine that Trent McDuffie is going to be inside. So then you're looking at Christian Fulton being one of your starting outside corners, and it's a competition for the other one. Is Jaylen Watson somebody that is going to allow a rookie to come in and take his job? The problem is Jaylen Watson's been injured so much. He missed time in camp last year. Yep. If he misses time in camp again this year, he may not have the ability to take that job back.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a challenge. And this is, unfortunately, the way that it goes when you near the end of your contract, you got to continue to prove it. And that's what this league is. There's a lot that goes into it. And sometimes you just need an opportunity to make an impression or to prove that you can do that. Some guys got some early transactions on this 90-man roster already. Who are they? What do they mean? That's coming up next. Say goodbye to sticky notes, scribble plans on the fridge, or overlapping calendar invites. The Skylight Calendar is here to bring you the clarity to the chaos and help families that need it get organized without the stress. It's sleek, digital, and it syncs to your existing calendars, whether it's Google or Apple or Outlook or whatever you need. So you can put it all in one place for dinners, practices, school, reminders, everything. I need it. With multiple teenagers in multiple sports, traveling around the country, you never know who's in town or who might even have a meal together. This helps immensely. You can get everything in one spot, synced up to all your calendars, so everything's right at your fingertips. Right now, Skylight is offering our listeners $30 off of their 15-inch calendars by going to skylightcal.com/NFL. So go to skylightcal.com/NFL for $30 off your 15-inch calendar. That's skylightcal.com/NFL. You got to start somewhere, right? Rookie impressions start with rookie minicamp. And if you are an invite player, you're just hoping to get an offer. And it looks like a couple of guys did. What was your takeaway on them?
Like I said, and I know I kind of talked about this in the first segment, but it goes back to the wide receiver position. You bring a guy in and you think you probably are 6 or 7 deep to where you feel like anybody that's past that probably doesn't have a great chance at the roster, but they go ahead and sign a guy that was an undrafted, that was a rookie invite. So, we'll see. It's impressive making that kind of impression, because what did they sign? 2 or 3 guys, 2 or 3 UDFAs on top of a draft pick at that position.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty significant. I think that's a signal. I don't know how you feel, but it is. The wide receiver you're talking about is Holiday, correct?
Yep. Yeah, and I was trying to look and see all the UDFAs that they signed right after the draft. I was trying to find that list, but they signed, I know, at least 2 or 3 UDFAs that were wide receivers, plus they drafted Royals. So you're talking about a position that, he came in, he impressed him enough, and we'll see whether or not he's able to do anything moving forward. Regardless of whether or not he can actually make this roster, I'm not worried about that. But it is impressive, and it is something, if he can come in and make an impression, maybe he's a guy that can be on the practice squad and can be somebody that can step forward in the future. Who knows what you're going to have, but it's something to watch going forward.
Yeah, and you got to keep an eye out. And there's all kinds of guys that can step forward and make impacts. The Chiefs did in signing a couple of these rookie invites, they did decide to part ways with a veteran, a guy that has, at the time in his draft class, was one of the elite athletic prospects at the cornerback position. But he got here and he hasn't been able to latch on in any system, including now the Chiefs. Robert Rochelle was released as part of these transactions, this first flurry. Looks like Major Williams came in there as probably a direct replacement. But Rochelle has the long speed. He had good quickness. He had good length. It just goes to show that you can't put all your eggs in one basket in the pre-draft process, because while he was an elite athlete, he had trouble with production. And his film showed, much like Josh Williams, that a jump up in competition was going to be a challenge for him, at least consistently wise. And in the end, it doesn't look like he's going to find a home in Kansas City.
No, and a couple of the other moves they made. So they brought in, like you said, Major Williams, waived Will Brooks and waived Justin Lockhart. And Lockhart was a UDFA that they signed, but they gave him an injury designation. So obviously something happened, I would imagine, in camp. So you look at this and they make 3 moves. I think, I'm trying to remember, what do they make? Usually 2, 3, 4, somewhere in there, moves from rookie minicamp that they make signings afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there's really been any guys that have come into rookie minicamp, gotten a sign and actually made the roster lately, but they can make the practice squad. They can contribute that way. That's really their best chance, I would think. Even like the safety that they signed and the linebacker they signed, I think those are the best options that they have of making the roster in some sense, is making the practice squad.
Yeah, you got to get there first, right? I really want to know how my guy Casey from KU is doing. I'm going to ask Matt about that tomorrow, everybody. So make sure you're with us tomorrow, because Matt's gotten to see it. And I know he made one spectacular catch, but he's on my list of guys to make sure that I'm proofing down and seeing what's going on with it. Along with the Williams signing, we also got news on BJ Thompson, who has reverted to the Chiefs' NFI list, as he did clear waivers. So he's still on injured reserve, still gets to continue his rehab with Rick Burkholder and the staff in Kansas City. So I think that's a big positive.
Yeah, it's a big positive, and I think that's great for him. I'm curious. I'm going to be curious to see what happens. So obviously, he's not going to be somebody that can come back to the roster this year, but it's going to be something that you'll keep an eye on. What's in the future for him in the coming years.
Yeah, I'm very intrigued to see it. So last parting thought, just another player you just greedily want to see here when the vets start to get back out there.
When the vets start to get back out there, I really want to see. You mentioned Suamata'i earlier. I want to see more. I want to see what is, how comfortable does he look? And I know we're not going to really see hitting. We're not really going to see a lot of, pads, you're not going to have pads. You're not going to be able to really do anything. But does he look comfortable? Does he look like he knows what he's supposed to be doing? Is he running? How does that look? I'm curious to see that, because this is going to be really the first chance that you really get to see of him in a Chiefs uniform. And who are taking the reps at second and third string left guard? Because while I think Suamata'i is the guy that they're probably going to have in there to start, who's going to be the guy that's behind him? Because I would imagine that it's not just going to be a job that's going to be given to him. He's going to have to earn it. So he's going to be competing against some people. I don't expect, we'll see. I don't expect that Caliendo is going to be somebody that's really going to give him competition, but he started for him last year. And so you have to wonder if that's something that they're going to be looking at, or if they're going another direction. You've talked multiple times, Wanya Morris could play guard. Is that something that they're looking at? Is that something we're going to see when the vets show up?
Yeah, I'm really intrigued. I want to know who's going to be blocking for my guy, Bailey Zappi. So the threes, Ethan Driscoll, maybe Wanya. I want to know, because Zapp is back and I'm ready to see him.
Well, I'm curious to see if Ethan Driscoll is a 3. Is he a 2? Is he right tackle 2?
Maybe.
If Wanya Morris is playing inside as left guard 2, is Ethan Driscoll right guard or right tackle 2? I don't know. That's the big question. And this is to the point where you get, and we won't know until really the pads come on in training camp. But this is the point where you start to see, okay, this is kind of where they think that these guys are based on what they know. But they're really not going to know about offensive and defensive linemen until the pads come on, because that's going to change everything. They will have an idea. Do these guys know? Are they asking the right questions in meetings? Do they know where they're supposed to be? Do they know the offense and how things are supposed to go? They'll know that stuff, but they won't know what they're actually going to be looking like, what their technique's going to be like, how they're set up, and how they're going to be fighting for different positions until the pads come on. And you're not going to know that for another couple months. So while we see OTAs and it's exciting because you get to see some of the offensive players and defensive players go at it, and you'll get acrobatic catches from some of the guys that come in. It's glorified shorts. I mean, it's short season. I mean, we have been burnt by. I mean, Chiefs fans have been burnt multiple times by guys coming in and performing in shorts and not showing up when the actual pads come on in training camp. So something to watch there.
Yeah, it definitely is. But we'll have more on it. We're going to talk Brain Stool tomorrow as well. Some of the UDFA guys that are making contributions. Matt Derrick's going to join us, so don't miss that. Make sure you like and sub and hit the bell. Hit another Locked On show for your next one. We very much appreciate it. And I know that it's the off season, but we're going to have you 5 days a week forever, just like we always do. So make sure you're with us. We appreciate you guys. Thanks for listening and being with us live today. We'll be back with you tomorrow.